Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here on Facebook at Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do this live stream Sunday through Thursday, all based on the divination cards that I draw in the morning. So everybody gets to see George. He was just laying underneath the table and he decided to get up and move around. I guess he wanted to be on camera. That's my pup. That's my boy. Yeah, and so welcome. Today is Tuesday, August 27th, and we have two cards today that I'm thinking are going to be some pretty good conversation around them. So yeah, and I should probably ask you guys this right away, okay? For those that are in the live stream, thank you so much for being here with me, and those that'll be watching by the recorded show, thank you so much for making time in your day to watch a recorded show. We appreciate it here at Star Nations and how you guys watch our recorded shows. A lot of you do, a lot, which is good. So one of the things that I want to do right away is to ask everyone to do their grounding. Okay, even if you're watching this as a recorded show, is just to pause just a moment and to do your grounding, because we're going to be talking about one of the cards today that I think the feeling I had this morning was, okay, we got to go deeper with this one. So it's just going to be, I don't know. We're just going to do better work when we're grounded is all, right? And so while you guys are doing that, I am going to take my phone and I am going to share out the show. I'm going to send it over to my live stream. I'm going to like it first. And then I'm going to send it over to my live stream, my news feed, I mean. And just to remind my friends, right, that I'm live streaming. Georgie. What you doing, George? Did you come and lay down by me here? And I'm going to ask him to please join us in the live chat. Good boy. Georgie, you're such a good boy. There's that one. And then I'm going to send it over to the closed group too. One of our closed groups, I should say. The Star Nations live stream shows closed group. Just to remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. You know, and after you guys are done with your grounding, I would invite you to also send the live stream over to your news feed, or maybe even if you just send it to one friend, you know, that's really, really helpful. Yeah, because we got people looking for all kinds of information, and it's so much easier to find when we start sharing it out, right? So I'm just going to ask the peeps to join us. There we go. There we go. Turn down my sound on my phone. And there we are. So let's see who's in the chat. Hey, Edward's here. Hello, Edward. Good evening to you too. See, Edward is in the UK. And so, yeah. And George, Edward says hello to you too. Yeah. Well, you kind of know him. He sits in on our shows all the time. Yeah. He's looking at me like, who? Edward, you know Edward. Edward Raven Colvin is his full name. Hey, and Brenda's here too. Hello, Brenda. Good to have you here. Oh, and PJ's in the house. Georgie, Auntie PJ's in the house. He's going to come and sit now. Auntie PJ's here. Oh, thank you so much, Polly Jow. Thank you. Okay, so I do have to I want to get to one thing before we get started, because I promised to do this, and because it is important. And I want to go out and grab Tina's email address. I should have done that earlier. It's here. I know it is, because she just sent it to me. And we were having a conversation this morning, and there's just a lot to it. Oh, rats. I know it's here. I just went right by it, I bet. Going too fast. All right. There's John's. Not John's, but oh, here it is. See, I know I went by it too fast. All right. I'm going to copy Tina Warbonnet. Many of you know Tina Warbonnet from, she's usually in our live stream shows, right? She's added so much to the conversation. Well, many of you don't know, but Tina's husband, John, was diagnosed with lung cancer not too long ago. And that's why she hasn't been in the live chats very much, is because she's spending as much time with him at doctor's appointments and locating a traditional healer. And they happen to be Lakota, right? I think it's Lakota. They're a part of the Great Sioux Nation, both John and Tina. And so they were on the search for a holy man, a holy person. Okay, Wakan Shasha, no Wakan. Oh, I can't remember the word for it in Lakota. Wakan means holy. And so anyway, Tina reached out to me earlier this morning, very early, and because it had been like 5 a.m. her time. Okay. So they did find a traditional healer. Yay. And when you're a traditional healer, that also means that you're a pipe carrier. And so he happens to be from South Dakota, near Pine Ridge. And so they're looking to raise funds to help this holy man to travel from South Dakota to Montana, where John and Tina live. Okay. And so they're raising funds. And so using PayPal, because that's the easiest way to be able to transfer funds over to the holy man, to Jim, to help him with his travel costs, right? And so I told Tina that my little bit that I can help out with, that I would mention it to our Star Nations community and see if you can be willing just to even to donate $5, right? To donate toward the gas, the travel, because they'll be traveling by car, to the gas, the petrol, for those in the UK, for the petrol cost. And then when they get there, to do the work and then to travel home again. So this is for Tina's husband, John. I'm just going to write this in here. Got to spell, that would be good. Traditional healer travel. Oops, fundraising. And so PayPal. And you can send it to Tina, and she will make sure that the holy man receives the money that you donate. And if you do, thank you so much, really. And if you can't afford it, because I know that we're all kind of on a budget sometimes, right? And that's okay, right? Also pray for John. That would be even more help, right? Is to hold him in the healing light of the Creator, and so that I misspelled raising, forgot the G, and so anyway, thank you so much for considering that, and if you can at all help, even $5, is very helpful. So thank you so much. And I know John and Tina would be very appreciative as well. It sounds like it's a rather fast-moving cancer, and so they're trying to get the holy man there, Jim, there as soon as they can. So anything can help, right? All right. Thank you. Miigwech. Catchy Miigwech. Actually, you know what? That's Potawatomi. Catchy Miigwech is a large thank you, right? But this one feels like it should be an Iguian. Iguian is a more formal thank you in Potawatomi. It's usually reserved for elders and, like elected officials and that kind of thing. So, yeah, Iguian. All right. So for those who are just joining us, we're still using this particular deck, White Eagle Medicine Wheel Deck by Wananichi. And Wananichi is also a holy person. He is Lakota and also Ojibwa. And so we get to experience the medicine wheel through his perspective. And I have to say that it's really started some interesting conversations, hasn't it? It really has. And so we have 2 cards today. And the first card we haven't had before, and this is Record Keeper. Record Keeper. I'm going to turn off the scroller. It's a little hard to look at the card and watch something scroll by. All right. So here we go. Record Keeper. These happen to be feathers. Wait a minute. I lost George. What a boy. He's laying on the love seat. All right, so Record Keeper. And these happen to be feathers. The larger one is a turkey feather, right? And the smaller one is a parrot feather. Parrot. Yeah. A little story here. When I used to work for the state of Wisconsin, one of my coworkers, Dave, good guy, he had a parrot, a macaw, actually. I think it was a macaw. And during the year when the bird would naturally molt, he'd drop feathers, right? Dave always brought me in feathers, and I always gifted him back either bird food or something like that, just to say thank you. And so, because those feathers have a very feminine energy to them, and it's so much better, right, to get feathers that naturally fall, right, rather than killing the bird. And so, in the turkey feather is probably the easiest feather to find, to purchase. And it carries, of course, the energy of the turkey, which is the giveaway bird. The giveaway bird means that it's actually a sign of abundance and gift giving, right? And so the bird is really about to be able to give. Yeah. Many of the native nations here in Turtle Island, they saw the turkey as, they used every part of the bird practically, right? And so that's why they called it the giveaway bird, because it gave its life force to the people. Yeah. And they're very large birds, and so they can feed many people, right? They can feed a whole family, if not more, and to have leftovers and that sort of thing. Something that we take for granted here in the United States on Turtle Island, right? And once a year we have something called Thanksgiving. I know it's a very controversial holiday here, where many of the states are now dropping Columbus Day, because that's in October, right? They're dropping Columbus Day, and replacing it with Indigenous Peoples Day. Well, in I think it's the third Thursday or the fourth Thursday of November is Thanksgiving. And so it does carry some controversy to it. But, we shouldn't take it for granted either, because the meal is usually centered around turkey. And so it's a reminder to us on how much the turkey gives us. Right? So be able to remember that. And as I was reading the information for the cards, I thought, you know what? I'm going to add this one piece in here that I'm going to share with you. The information from the record keeper is coming from the Hopi Nation. And so this is the way that the Hopi view feathers. It says, the most treasured feathers are those dropped by wild birds as gifts from the bird spirit for you to find. Most valued come from birds who have either died naturally or by cars being hit, in which case permission is taken. In which case permission to take them as asked of the bird spirit, and their remains are buried in ceremony. So whenever you see a bird that's been hit by a car, right? What this is saying is that if you saw it, then that bird is actually gifting you one of their feathers or some of their feathers. But in order to take the feathers, you have to actually bury the bird, right? It's in ceremony. In other words, saying prayer at least over it before you bury it. Maybe putting tobacco in with it, that would be my tradition to do that. And so what they're saying is that if you see it, you're being gifted, but in return, you also have to bury the bird. He goes on to say that shown here are turkey feathers for giving and parrot feathers, which call the feminine energy and the grandmother spirit. Is that nice? So record keepers are spiritual travelers. Did you know that? Spiritual travelers. We can go back to the beginning and bring the knowledge of the past to help people get to the future. We travel beyond the earth and can tell things about other planets and other heavens. We can see the future and help the tribe to change destiny. To seek the truth in any information is a good thing. Truth is important, and it sometimes hurts, but in the long run, it is best. Never be a gossip or a carrier of stories. Also, be truthful to yourself about your own thoughts and feelings. Take this feather. It's telling you to start writing things down, or maybe to keep a spiritual journal. Great Spirit loves us all equally. Our shortcomings are part of our being human. In fact, they are our greatest teachers. Never try to hide them. Others will always find them out. A feather is a gift of honor. Make sure you deserve it. Because they're talking about telling the truth here, right? And so many times, we lie to ourselves, right? And that's what they're trying to get at here, I think, is to be honest with ourselves. Yeah. Record keeper. Interesting. All right. I'm going to get caught up with you guys in the chat. Hey, Rob's here. He's saying hello to Polly Joe. What do you know? We always have to smile when we see that. Rochelle says, hello, Neshi, grounded and sprinkled. Thank you so much, Rochelle. And hi, Deb. Deb's there too. We made reservations for a hotel room. Just got to register for the October 11th through the 14th. Excited. Yay. Good. Excellent. Can't wait. And Polly Joe is all excited too. That's her class, by the way, for those who don't know. Would you like it to be posted in the group? I would say yes, but I think we should probably ask Tina first. Okay, Rob. I don't know if you're friends with Tina or not. If you're not, I'd be happy to reach out to her and ask her if it'd be okay to do that. Okay. Yeah. I think it would be a great idea, but I think we should ask Tina first. Okay, so record keeper. When I read the information about this particular card this morning, I was taking it all in and I was wondering, okay, so what is Spirit bringing to us today through this card? Saying that record keepers are spiritual travelers, seeking truth in any information, right? But having to discern what's truth for you. And what truth are you telling? What truth are you speaking? Right? And now we have to remember that this deck was published in, I think it was 1999, was it? 1998. Oh, I'm sorry, 97. 1997. And so the energy, was quite different then, right? The author certainly leaning on traditional beliefs and values coming through the medicine wheel. But the energy field was much different when this deck was published. So what we've learned by doing this show for over a year is that we really need to take a look at it from the expanded perspective, right? As an expanded perspective. Now, the thing is that it was right after I finished reading the cards and sitting with it for a little bit that I started watching Polly Joe's show, which was a really good show. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, my suggestion is to go back and watch the recorded show. Really good information. Now, for some people, the information that Polly Joe shared might be brand new to them, right? Your soul recognizes it, but our conscious mind might see it as some new information when it really is ancient information that was waiting for us two-leggeds, to be in a certain vibration, a certain way of being, in order to take in that information and to be able to utilize it, right, for our spiritual growth. And many people would call it our ascension. But it really is really ancient information. And there was a part in there that Polly Joe did a meditation, right, to bring energy to our energy centers, our secondary, I think she called them, energy centers. And as we were doing that meditation, I flashed and saw it and felt it, that it was very much of running, using the Ankh form as running energy like that, right? And then from there, it took me to my home planet, which is Sirius. And the Syrian energy is very much a part of the Egyptian belief system, as well as the Pleiades are. So as I was reflecting on that, these two seemingly opposite, unconnected or disconnected things, the cards and the meditation and the information that Polly Joe was bringing to us today, when they're actually connected. But you can't really see it if you're not looking at it from a wider perspective, or seeing it from, when I say higher, I don't mean our vibration necessarily, but, looking at it from an eagle's point of view, right? Or a bird's point of view from the air and looking down, right? The wider perspective. Record keeper. We're all record keepers. We all are. When we remember how to live our lives from our hearts, inside of our heart, our sacred heart, is our personal soul records. And so our soul already knows a whole lot of information that if we're not connecting to our higher self, kind of sits dormant, right? And so with the information that Polly Joe was giving us today, is that this is a way to be able to access much more information. As a record keeper of our own personal spiritual growth, our wisdom that we've gained from different lifetimes forward, right? And so I really believe that it is, many of us have been doing our spiritual work, our emotional and mental trauma healing, cleaning up the debris, right? Healing, releasing, forgiving, doing a really conscious work, that we have raised our vibration or our frequency to a certain frequency that allows us to be able to take in more information in a more optimal way. And it helps us to remember what our soul already knows, to help us remember in our conscious life, right? Our mental mind life. Does that make sense? And I think that this card is really asking us to do that, right? That if we're truthful with ourselves, right, that we're not broken. We're not broken. That we have all of this information already sitting there waiting for us. And when we are able to access that information, it goes beyond just our mental mind. We're being affected in all of our bodies. All of our bodies. So when we do meditations like what Polly Joe offered to us this morning, or at noon Eastern time, yeah, it will trigger memories for you. And it might even seem, it's like, what? Why did I flash on that? Or why did I feel it that way? Be open to it, because our mental mind is going to try to find some sort of logic around it when maybe the logic isn't quite there yet, right? Is to be open to it. Yeah. And I'm thinking about the feathers that they even use here, right? Is that you look at the turkey, and it's the giveaway bird, right? The energy of giving and receiving. That for us to remember that, to be grateful to the turkey or to anyone that gives us anything, right? Any of our relatives that give us anything. In return, to have gratitude for what was just given. And with the parrot feather there, it's got the feminine energy to it. So there's a lot of nurturing and compassion. Nurturing and compassion for yourself and for others. So many of us, not too long ago, the information that we got, the cards were saying that another life lesson was on the horizon, right? Out there on the periphery, and that it was coming closer to us, and that we were actually given some time to prepare for it, right? That it's going to be here. And so many of us had just went through a huge change, and others were just starting this next life experience. And so I really do believe that we were getting prepared for the information that's coming, that's here. It's not just coming, it's here. It's here. That's why it's so important to be grounded, balanced, and protected, right? It's important to have that so that you are in a position to really tap into the opportunities that are right before you. You're already immersed in it. So Polly Joe is saying, hi, I'll be in your neck of the woods in October twice. Okay. All right. Crow's calling right now. What's Crow saying to you, Lisa? Kalia, we're not doing individual card reads. This is for the group. It's for everyone, right? And so whatever information that we're sharing, whether it's through the cards that I'm reading or talking about, or maybe in the conversation, whatever resonates with you, that's for you, okay? If you like individual card reads, I would invite you to join us on Wednesday night for Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay, right? Her show comes on at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at Chakra Sessions at her fan page. And she does individual card reads in the second half of that. Okay. All right. So Edward is saying the current and paste works. Oh, the copy and paste works on the PayPal link. It does? Oh, good. Excellent. Thank you so much, Edward, for sharing that. Hello there, Lisa. Good to have you here. And look, Carol's here too. Hi, Carol. Good to have you here. One of these days, you and I are going to meet in person. That would be nice. And Rob says, I will certainly ask her. Okay, no problem. I will send her a message after the show, okay, and let you know. And Jen says, good morning, all. Gee whiz, I slept in. Don't say gee whiz. I'm so glad you could, Jen. Good for you. If I could only sleep in. Let's see, when's my next opportunity? September, when I go to Colorado. I'm actually taking a vacation, you guys, in September. Change coming. Change is already here, Lisa. It's not coming. It's here. It's here. And I think that we're gathering information to help us with that change, right? Yeah, it's already here. Yeah. Record keeper. That's our first card. Our second card we've had before. In fact, we have had this card 5 times in the last 2 weeks. 5 times in the last 2 weeks. Provider. That's Sweetgrass. So whenever a card comes multiple times, here's one thing that we've learned through the show is that when a card comes to us multiple times, that means that we have to go deeper. You know, that we were just touching the surface. We went a little bit deeper. Nope, you gotta go deeper. And so this is the 6th time this card has come to us. So we're going to go deeper today. So if you haven't done your grounding, please take a moment to do your grounding, okay? Because it's going to be helpful to take in the information and also to offer your point of view, your intuition, right? Yeah. Oh, the crow's announcing it. Good one. That feels good, doesn't it, Lisa? That feels good. All right, so provider. Now this is coming from the Ute Nation out west. And sweetgrass actually grows all over the United States, but it grows best in west of the Mississippi. And sweetgrass, I shared, I think it was the last time we had this card, is that when you harvest it, when you cut it. You don't pull it up from the roots, you cut it. It's Grandmother Earth's hair, is what they say. That's why it's braided. And it's braided to hang up so that it can dry, so that when you light it, it has a very sweet fragrance to the smoke. And it can be used as a protector and also to bring joy in, right? Many times when I do a space clearing, if I use cedar or sage, I'll follow it up with sweetgrass. It kind of smooths things out, right? And I use my feather with it to smooth out what we just shook up and to bring in the vibration of the sweetness. Sweetgrass. And they have it laying on some deer skin, deer hide that's been tanned, so it's soft. And sweetgrass carries the feminine energy, the sacred feminine energy. The author says, sweetgrass grows in hidden places where there is sufficient moisture. Now, out of all the times that I've shared this card with you guys, this morning was the first time that particular sentence jumped out and said, look at me, okay? So I'm going to say it again. Sweetgrass grows in hidden places where there is sufficient moisture. It's becoming quite rare now due to the increased use of lands for ranching, farming, or spreading cities. It was braided together, symbolizing the weaving together of all that is good, gentle, and pure in life. When it burns, it gives off a wonderful, sweet-smelling smoke. It retains its aroma for up to a year and is used for many blessing ceremonies. So as I was reading that part, I was thinking about the metaphor. Sweetgrass grows in hidden places where there's sufficient moisture. And that it's becoming more and more rare to find it because of industrialization, right? It's because of the two-leggeds that are plowing up the fields and for their own use, right? But the metaphor about it being in hidden places. And so if we take that metaphor and we're thinking about that first card, about the truth, right? And about how we're looking at things at a more expanded way, is that we're going to be able to see those things that are hidden, right? Right? Where things are hidden. And we have to be truthful to ourselves to uncover it. And maybe we've always known that it's there, but we are in denial, or we think that we don't have to deal with that quite yet, right? Yeah. And where there's sufficient moisture. Well, think about that. Water, right? Water. And what's water? It's a symbol of emotions. Water. Yeah, and so if we're truthful about whatever that is that's hidden, that it's part of our emotions. And that if we pay attention to those emotions, we'll be able to understand what it is that's being hidden. Hidden from ourselves, right? Be able to discern if it's involving someone else, And whenever we discern, we're actually tapping into our higher self. We're saying, our conscious self is saying to our higher self, is like, I need some help here. What's really going on? I need some clarity here. What's really going on here? Shed some light on this for me. Right? Yeah. And even with the moisture, when there's enough moisture, there's growth, right? Plants grow. Plants thrive when they have enough to drink. Yeah. So I think that we're really looking at this at a deeper way today. Right? The author says that the teaching of Sweetgrass is to have gratitude and respect for all life and all that you are given. Take nothing for granted. Take only what you need. The provider must determine the need, spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical. Nurture love, happiness, and security. Such are the needs of all. And a provider in those days, before the settlers really started pushing west, right, is that the providers were the clan leadership. And the clan leadership always took care of the elders and the young first. And the leader was usually the last one to eat, wanted to make sure that everyone had enough before they would eat, right? But that doesn't mean that it was out of balance. He or she was also taken care of. That their teepee or their wigwam was already set up for them. They didn't have to build their fire. They didn't have to make their sleeping place. That was done for them. And when it was time for that person to eat, that clan leader, somebody would always bring them the dish. They didn't have to stand in line. Okay. They didn't have to go and get it themselves, that somebody would actually hand it to them. And so there was a balance of giving and receiving, right? So when you're a provider, let's look at this at a more expansive vision, the bigger picture. In this vibrational field that we're in the current day, many of us are providers to our families. Sometimes we're a single parent and we've had that responsibility to provide the physical needs for our clan, our families, right? But many of you are healers, light workers, energy workers. And you too are a provider to your clan, to the bigger, more expansive clan, to your communities, right? And so making sure that they're healing that they need, they're receiving the support for that, right? That you are providing the space for them to be able to tap into that healing energy. But you also have to take care of yourself. You also have to accept the healings that are being offered to you, right? And the truth is, many of us say that, oh, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm fine. And we're not, that we need some help, but we sometimes don't want people to see how our vulnerability, right? Yeah. Edward is saying, I managed to get some sweetgrass and lemongrass incense in the UK, but it took a lot of finding. I bet it did, because sweetgrass is hard enough to find here, Wow. Lisa's saying, I will remember that. I'm doing clearing in my mom's room tomorrow and will follow up with Sweetgrass. I always get beautiful information on your shows. You're welcome. You're welcome, Lisa. Lisa's from Wisconsin. She's actually living near where I used to live, down near Poinet. And so as healers and energy workers, we too have to take care of ourselves, right? We have to accept when someone is offering something in return, so that we have that balance of giving and receiving. So, for instance, many of the shows here have meditations involved with them. Polly Jo, both shows that she does has meditations involved with it, especially Wednesday nights, right? And that is intentionally, at the very beginning, that was meant for light workers and energy workers who haven't made the time for their own healing work, that they could come and do this live stream, right? Yeah, it was offered. And so for anybody to take Polly Jo up on it, since I'm producing, you bet I'm already there. So I'm already in the meditation. Or taking up Ed Langdon, he was offering a summer special. I think it was like $50 for, was it a half hour consultation with him, law of attraction information, and getting information from his spiritual team that he channels. And I took him up on it. I had a session last night. It was really good. And so we all have to take a look at what is our truth in that, right? What is our truth in that? And so when we have the opportunity, like what Polly Jo did in her show earlier today, is to take that opportunity to do that meditation, to receive the information, do the meditation, and then see what memories come up for you, right? Soul memories. For me, it was the Ankh, and it was my own planet Ceres, right? And the sacred geometry, the tree of life. So, to be able to be honest with yourself and say, okay, this is what I need. This is what I need. And so when we fulfill those needs, we are in a stronger place, a much more stable place to reach out and to be of service to others, right? We know that. We've known that for a long, long time, a long time. What's different about this one? Spirit has kicked it up a couple of notches, right? Spirit has kicked it up a couple of notches. So we're looking at a frequency elevation. We're looking at possibly even a complete shift in consciousness, which is changing your vibration or getting even closer to your original song that you came in with, right? And I think that Spirit is actually offering us this information so that we're prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that are opening up for us, because it's already here. All right, so with the provider, he goes on to say, I wanted to say that life is a precious gift. Too often we ignore the gift by frittering it away on pointless activities. Life is short, but it can be sweet if we walk a path of beauty, harmony, and gratitude. Right? Now that is information that we've known for a long time, a really long time. And so how do we look at it from a more expanded perspective, right? Yeah. How do we look at that and take that in as a soul memory, and how our soul receives that? right? Because it really is our soul having this experience. Many of us get, our mental mind confused with that. But it's our soul that's having this experience, experiencing this physical life through our physical body and our emotional body and our mental body. So how do we do that? How do we accept what's being given to us? How do we become more truthful with ourselves to reveal those things that are hidden and with enough moisture, right? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Seemingly simple cards, and yet the provider keeps showing up. Many times it's in the first card that's been given to us by Spirit, and many times it would show up as the supporter of the first card to help us to understand that first card with more depth. Okay, so I'm going to show you these two cards, right? And we do know that we take in much more of the information when we call our spiritual teams to become close. They're always with us, but for them to come close to help us to understand, to take in the information from the essence of the cards that's meant for us in an optimal way, right? In an optimal way. So taking a deep breath in, and as you exhale, taking a look at these cards, both to see both the seen and unseen, right? Record keeper coming to us to remind us about being grateful, that gratitude, and about the act of receiving and giving. About taking the sacred feminine energy being shown to us through the parrot feather, about compassion and nurturing. That when we acknowledge the truth within ourselves, things that maybe we have ignored, chose not to address, that the provider is saying those in those hidden places, that with enough emotion, enough water, which is also feminine, it'll help us to bring those hidden truths to the surface. And that we have all kinds of help from Spirit and from each other. And those truths that may be hidden about ourselves is that we shouldn't hide them. Not to feel vulnerable, right? That everybody has shortcomings perceived, and they're really not shortcomings at all. Those are our soft spots, our vulnerability. And that is where much of our wisdom lies. So be kind, be compassionate, both with yourselves and others as their hidden truths come to the surface, when they allow them to come to the surface to be addressed. That when we do, we get to have the sweetness of the sweetgrass. It also protects us, our vulnerabilities, those soft places. That we're being given an opportunity to remember ancient truths that can help us. They're coming forward now for us to be able to tap into, to remember at a soul level something that we already know. Ancient information coming forward into the present day. Why? Because we're ready. They weren't revealed very much in the past. And when they were, people scoffed at it. Right? Talking about the woo-woo stuff. Well, we're at a completely different place now with that. And we're vibrationally ready to remember even more ancient truths. The truths that were hidden. Right? That's what I got out of these cards. I don't know about you guys, but that's what came to me as I was sitting there, and even more as we're sitting here together with that. Yeah. Hey, Del, good to have you here. Gosh, I like your profile. That's cute. Edward saying, wow, deep messages today. Thank you. You're welcome. That's why, to be grounded, right? So that we can take in as much as we possibly can. And whatever resonated with you, hold it close, embrace it, and then watch how today's energy unfolds around you and where this information can be helpful, right? Can be helpful. And if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it, really. No worries. Sometimes we're just planting seeds, right? So that when the time is right for you, that divine timing, it'll click. It'll say, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember somebody was talking about that. Or I remember Neshi mentioned that months ago, right? It's all in divine timing, so don't worry about it. And there's always tomorrow's messages, right? That could be there. So, yeah, if it didn't resonate with you, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Sometimes you're the messenger. Sometimes what happens is that we realize, oh, so-and-so has been looking for this information. I'll share it with them. Or, wow, so-and-so would really like being able to sit in and comment on this kind of stuff. So I think I'll share it with them. You're doing them a huge service, really, because you're making it very easy for them to find our community here at Star Nations, but also to be a part of the conversation, that spiritual conversation, right? Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Tonight, I cannot wait. Tonight is my weekly show. It's called Communications from Home. It's on at 8 p.m. live stream. I have a guest tonight. Her name is Mary Delott. And Mary is bringing to us firsthand information about crystal skulls. She is a guardian of a crystal skull called Omani, and that skull will be joining us. It's a male energy, will be joining us with the interview. She's also going to be sharing with us. It's a conference that's happening at the third weekend in September. September 18th, 19th, I think it is. It's called the Crystal Skull Unification Conference. And so she'll be giving us some information about that too. But Mary, very interesting lady. And she's really open about sharing about her experience of being a guardian to a crystal skull. It's a Nepalese crystal skull. It's ornate. And she'll explain how it was decorated and why, right? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So that's 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you can join me, it'd be really nice, right? So you guys get that information from her. And also on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time is Polly Joe's evening show, and that is Soul Connections. It's all about healing and divine messages. If you're working on some sort of healing aspect of yourself, emotional, mental traumas, forgiveness, if you're an energy worker and haven't done your own healing, remember I just said this show was really designed for you. And so you can come and do your own healing work. And also she does card draws in the second half of that. So yeah, I get to produce. Yay. It's one of my favorite shows to produce. Okay, and then on Thursday is our elders here at Star Nations, Carl and Orchard Franklin, in Living in Two Worlds is the name of their show. And they're going to be talking about, the title is Beyond the Beyond, a Consciousness Shift. So I think they're going to cap off our week, because you know what? Archern and Carl, they always have these golden nuggets of information. Because, the wisdom that they carry, they've been walking this spiritual path for decades, probably around 4 or 5 decades. So there's lots of good stuff coming around. Yeah, I'm gonna get you caught up in the chat here. And Rochelle says, I would like to get some sweetgrass. Yeah, there's a couple of vendors that I know. There's a few people who actually grow it and do their own braiding, but they don't have a whole lot. So I'll see if I can find a decent vendor, okay, and share it with you guys as best I can anyway. Lisa says, I need to remember that most are an hour early. Yeah. Well, we're in the central time zone, right? And so, yeah, a lot of times on my promotions, I'll put both of them in, the central and the eastern. The other thing that you can do is you can, up in the corner, if you guys can see that, I don't know, if you're on your phone, it might not be in the corner. Hang on. I'm looking on my phone. Yeah, up in the corner, the right-hand corner in the upper one. If you're on your phone, there's three horizontal dots. If you click on that, it's going to give you a drop-down box, and you can follow the show and you can turn on the notifications, which means then you'll get notified whenever we post, okay? And you'll be getting the show information from this page. If you're on your laptop, it's still up in the right-hand corner. And you'll have follow, and you'll have a bell icon, I think it is. And you just click those two things and you'll get notifications, okay? That's helpful, especially when we're dealing with different time zones all over the world, literally. Because Edward's from the UK, Jen is from Australia. I'm just looking at who's in the chat right now. We got some people from the East Coast. Carol is also from the Midwest. So is Rob. Yeah, and so we're from all over, and there's even more that are watching that haven't commented, right? And so I don't know where they're from, but I know that we have more people that are watching than have commented. So yeah, those time zones can get kind of tricky. All right, we're past the top of the hour. I wanted to thank you for being with me today, and hopefully you'll join me tonight for Communications from Home at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. We're going to be talking about crystal skulls. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you back here for the Spiritual Roundtable tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern. Okay? All right. Baba Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.